This is ATN Global News. First, the headlines. Rivers elders warn proponents of propaganda against Wike. Tinubu gives APC flags to Silva, Ododo, Uzodinma. Senate approves Tinubu's 2.18 trillion naira supplementary budget. FG plans to improve supply of crude to Dangote refinery. Pope Francis calls for dialogue on Israel-Hamas war. Actress Iyabo Ojo alleges Naira Marley of food poisoning. Kwara United's logo commends players against Sporting Lagos. Now the rest of our stories. Minister of Federal Capital Territory Chief Nyesom Wike has accused his detractors of being behind the issues in the state and vowed that he would not be intimidated by propaganda on social media. This comes following the political crisis that erupted in Rivers State on Sunday night and when the PDP governors paid the former governor a courtesy visit on Wednesday. Wike, during the meeting held in Abuja, assured the governors that he is still a member of the main opposition party and he was in the FCT to help President Bola Tinubu achieve his renewed hope agenda, and thanked the forum for the visit and assured that he would continue to work for the president to realize his agenda to renew the hope of the citizenry. The PDP Governors Forum was led by its chairman, Senator Bola Mohammed, who also thanked Tinubu for appointing Wike as the FCT minister and also applauded Tinubu's efforts to resolve the political crisis in Rivers State. Speaking earlier, Senator Mohammed commended the appointment of Wike as the FCT minister by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, saying it was a demonstration of the president's bipartisan leadership style in the country. Mohammed, who was once the FCT minister, said Wike's incident made him deserving of recognition by the president and urged the FCT minister to continue to dispense his onerous responsibility to the president, assuring that the PDP was fully in support of his God-given bipartisan responsibility. Rivers Elders Forum has claimed that proponents of Governor Siminalayi Fubara of Rivers State were using propaganda against Minister Nyesom Wike of the Federal Capital Territory to inflame the crisis that is rolling the state. The attempt to remove Fubara from office by Wike supporting members of the State's House of Assembly has left Rivers in a precarious situation. While addressing a press conference in Abuja, Chief Ferdinand Alabraba, a leader of the elders, advised those encouraging Fubara to engage in a needless and fruitless battle with former Governor Wike to desist forthwith and allow the governor to concentrate on consolidating on the extraordinary achievements of Wike while he was governor. Additionally, they issued a warning against using propaganda against the FCT minister, claiming that doing so would only make matters worse and prevent the populace from reaping the rewards of democracy. Alabraba stated that after speaking with Wike and Fubara and after examining the situation, we would like to thank Wike once more for the audience and his kind nature, and also acknowledge that we accept the elders' mediation and will keep working selflessly for the state. Here is the update.
That His Excellency Siminalayi Fubara and all the above elected office holders in Rivers State belong to the same political family. and are bound by our philosophy to transform, build, develop, and create the river state of our dreams in consonance with our new rivers vision devoid of ethnicity, tribe, creed, and gender. That we're aware that there was a pre-existing problem between Honorable Ehie and the then majority leader of the House of Assembly and his colleagues that culminated in his removal. That to forestall Honorable Ehie's impending removal, the hallowed chamber of the Assembly was burnt. And Governor, His Excellency Fobra, believed that Hon Ehie's removal was a precursor to his impeachment, which is not true. That the misrepresentation of the internal wranglings among the members prompted the governor's immediate intervention, making him characterize a purely legislative broil as an existential threat. This caused Governor and his newly assembled supporters to give the actions of the Assembly members an ethnic coloration and prompted youths of Ijaw extraction to rally behind the governor in the name of Ijaw nationalism. The hasty reaction of the governor has now pitched His Excellency Sim Fobra and State Assembly members in an all-out battle that has led to the activation of process of impeachment of the governor. That the governor neither sought the help, clarification, or intervention of His Excellency Nyesom Wike or of the elders of the developments, nor did he discourage damaging lies to be peddled against His Excellency Nyesom Wike. In conclusion, we should once again express our gratitude to His Excellency Nyesom Wike for the audience and amiable disposition to continue work selflessly for our state and accepting the mediation of the elders. We urge the Governor, His Excellency Sim Fobra, to please take urgent steps to correct some of the false narratives against Nyesom Wike, thus providing a window for mediatory talks and a way forward. We advise those encouraging the governor, Sim Fobra, to engage in a needless and fruitless battle with Nyesom Wike, to desist forthwith and allow the governor to concentrate on consolidating on the extraordinary achievements of Nyesom Wike while he was governor. Our pact with Rivers people is unbroken. They gave us the mandate in the last election on the back of our achievements under His Excellency Nyesom Wike, and trust that the candidate from our political party family will continue these good works. We caution those new friends of Governor Sim Fobra to retract their steps before they throw the state into deeper crisis. We, the elders, stand with Excellency Nyesom Wike and to ensure that we work with him and all involved to bring peace to the River State. Thank you very much.
Labour Party governorship candidate in Bayelsa State, Engineer Udengs Eradiri, has described as alarming and disastrous the ranking of Bayelsa as the second poorest state after Sokoto State in the multidimensional poverty index. Eradiri, who spoke in Yenagoa, said Bayelsa's poor rankings in all economic and developmental indices are proof that the People's Democratic Party (PDP) and the state governor Dio Diri has failed the state, adding that the PDP and Diri had nothing to campaign with, noting that he could not wrap his head around the poverty in the state despite the small population of Bayelsa and huge revenue allocations from various sources. The LP candidate attributed the woes of Bielsa to years of cluelessness, incompetence, avarice, profligacy, and anti-people policies of the PDP, insisting that the current administration had no idea of how to tackle the issues, noting that Governor Dury and his party had no business seeking re-election. People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom State has rejected the appointment of Etekamba Umoren as the resident electoral commissioner. This is coming after the Senate on Wednesday confirmed the appointments of 7 out of the 10 resident electoral commissioners forwarded to it by President Bola Tinubu on Tuesday. The Rex, whose appointments were confirmed, are Umoren for Akwa Ibom, Isa Ehimeakne for Ede State, Oluwatoyin Babalola for Ekiti State, Abubakar Ma Aji for Gombe State, Shehu Wahab for Kwara State, as well as Aminu Idris for Nasarawa State and Muhammad Sadiq for Niger State. But the PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Alogunaba at a press conference in Abuja described the appointment as the All Progressives Congress plots to perpetuate itself in power by allegedly manipulating the operations of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and described Umoren as a known APC leader who has been at the forefront of APC campaigns and has projected the party's interests in previous elections. Olugunaba described Umoren's appointment as a grievous assault on INEC's credibility as an institution of democracy and the sanctity of the electoral process, adding that the appointment is a provocative defilement of the independence, integrity, and credibility of the electoral system. Clan heads of Mbume blocks in Etong local government area of Cross River State have protested the non-reinstatement of their suspended ruler, Dr. Emmanuel Ojong. The clan heads noted that the non-reinstatement of Ojong had been a drawback for the council area and its people. According to a statement signed by the clan heads of Abia, Ojong Matthew, Ben Dehe, Ekiem, Obasi, Erim, and Atomi, Raphael Abo, respectively in Calabar, said it is sacrilegious to change a living and sitting paramount ruler, and called on the state government to obey a court order that ruled in favor of Ojong's reinstatement. They noted that his reinstatement would ensure the protection as well as preservation of the traditional institution, and called on the state government to obey a court order that ruled in favor of Ojong's reinstatement, adding that his reinstatement would ensure the protection as well as preservation of the traditional institution. This is coming after Ojong's suspension was announced by the immediate past administration of the state on May 28, 2021, and was suspended over alleged unwholesomeness activities that had threatened the peace and the stability of the Etong Council area. And the suspension was subsequently challenged at the court by the traditional ruler, while Justice Elias Abia of the High Court in Calabar ordered his reinstatement in a judgment delivered in March. Presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the February 2023 presidential election, Peter Obi, has expressed shock over reports that 80 bodies, including 20 headless ones, as well as countless skeletons, were discovered in Abia State. This is coming after the Abia State Governor Alex Oti said corpses were discovered by security operatives during a raid of the forest around the Lopanta cattle market in the Umunochi axis of the Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway. In a statement on Thursday via his X account, formerly Twitter, Obi described the incident as bone-chilling and reflective of the worsening insecurity plague in Nigeria, and commended Governor Oti for taking such a bold step against insecurity in the state. Obi reiterated that the security of lives and property remains a primary duty of any government and key to any meaningful development, and encouraged governments at all levels to redouble efforts at combating Nigeria's security crisis. Medical experts at the Federal University Teaching Hospital, Owerri, are currently working to save the eyes of the president of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajero. Ajero was said to have been arrested by men of the Imo State Police Command while leading a protest in the state on Wednesday, while the command said he was only rescued from a mob and put in protective custody. Ajero was seen in a viral video sitting between two men while he was being rushed to Federal Medical Center, Owerri, and the NLC officials condemned the incident as a heinous act of attempted murder. The NLC head of Information and Publicity, Benson Opa, described the treatment of Ajero as an act of abduction that degenerated into attempted murder. 2023 African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore has accused Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State of attempting to assassinate the national president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero. Sowore urged NLC to shut down Nigeria until Uzodinma is removed from office, while decrying the activities of some miscreants who disrupted NLC's protest in Owerri, the Imo State capital. This is coming after the NLC president was in Owerri to mobilize Imo workers for a mega protest rally in the state over an alleged violation and an abuse of rights and privileges of workers by the state government, and violence broke out during the rally led by the men of the Nigerian police force whisking away Ajaero. Amid backlash from some Nigerians, the police quickly denied arresting Ajaero, saying the NLC president was being taken into custody following an attack on him. Human rights activist Femi Falana has called on the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to ensure that officers who allegedly brutalized the Nigerian Labour Congress President Joe Ajaero are arrested and prosecuted. Falana made the remark while faulting the statement by the police on Ajaero's arrest, as well as how the police had denied arresting the NLC president during the union's rally in Owerri, Imo State, on Wednesday, noting that Ajaero was only whisked away when miscreants hijacked the NLC trade union rally in Owerri. However, Falana said the explanation given by the police was tainted with loopholes and wondered why the police failed to arrest the miscreants that brutalized the NLC president in their presence. He called on the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, to investigate and ensure that the police officers who brutalized the NLC presidents are prosecuted without any delay. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodinma has accused the president of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, of meddling in the politics of the state, adding that he attempted to blackmail his government over non-payment of salaries, insisting that all the state workers have been paid their due wages. Uzodinma, who made the observations after receiving the All Progressives Congress flag from President Bola Tinubu at the Aso Rock Villa, Abuja, said, "What has happened in the oddly coincidence is that the national president of the Nigeria Labour Congress is from Imo State and has not been able to demarcate the difference between being a national leader of an organization and then an interested party in local politics." Responding head of information of the NLC, Benson Opa, who confirmed the arrest, noted that Ajaero was picked up at the state secretariat of the NLC and taken to an unknown location. Basharun of Oyo High Chief Yusuf Ayola and 4 other claimants in a suit instituted against the Oyo State Governor Sheyi Makinde and 2 others were absent when the Oyo High Court sitting in Away area of the state struck out the case on Thursday. This is coming after the kingmakers in Oyo town, popularly known as Oyo Messi, dragged the governor and the state's commissioner for local governments and chieftaincy matters, as well as the attorney general and commissioner for justice, to court to stop them from aborting the process for the selection appointment of the candidate for filling the vacant stool of a Laughing of Oyo candidate by kingmakers. The other claimants in suit were Laguna of Oyo High Chief Wakil Oyedepo, Akinku of Oyo High Chief Amuda Yusuf, Areo Ago, Basharun of Oyo, High Chief Wahid Oyetunji and Alapo of Oyo, who is also warrant officer for Alapini of Oyo, Chief Badebo Mufutau, and they were all absent in court. Justice Ladiran Akinlola, while ruling on the suit, struck it out sequel to its withdrawal by the claimants, while the claimants have filed a fresh suit, of which the presiding justice said the date for the hearing would be communicated to both parties. The stool became vacant after the demise of Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, who reigned for 52 years and died at the age of 83 in April 2022. Economic and Financial Crimes Commission says it has arrested of 69 suspected internet fraudsters, many of whom are students of the Obafemi Awolowo University, Ile-Ife, and 58 of the students were later released late Wednesday. This is coming after officials of the EFCC in a midnight raid stormed hostels outside the OAU campus, including Fine, Touch, and Superb hostels in the Oduduwa Estate, Ile-Ife, broke into rooms and arrested the students. The Students' Union President Akinremi Ojo said the union had details of 72 students picked up from the hostel with phones and cars taken away while demanding the release of the students and condemned the approach of the arrest. Meanwhile, the AFCC, in a statement on its verified Facebook page hours later, confirmed that it arrested 69 suspects in Ile-Ife and also listed the names of the suspects but was silent on their identity as students, adding that they were arrested on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023, at the Odudu Estate area of Ile-Ife, Osun State, following actionable intelligence on their suspected involvement in fraudulent internet-related activities. All Progressives Congress in Osun State has described the dissolution of the boards of statutory commissions as reckless and display of executive rascality. Osun APC, while faulting the decision by the Ademola Adeleke-led administration, also stated that the dissolution of the commissions will not be allowed to go unchallenged through legal action. In a statement by its chairman, Tajuddin Lawal, the party insisted that the dissolution of the 10 statutory commissions was a flagrant act of illegality and gross exhibition of administrative ignorance that won't see the light of the day. This is coming after the state governor, Ademola Adeleke, had announced the dissolution of the State Civil Service Commission, the Judicial Service Commission, the Osun State Independent Electoral Commission, and the Osun State House of Assembly Service Commission. Lawal warned that if Adeleke does not rescind the illegal decision to dissolve the statutory commissions, he should be prepared to face the music, as Osun State is not a private enterprise. Responding, the Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Kolabo Alimi, insisted that the governor acted within the requirements of the law in dissolving all statutory commissions almost a year after he resumed office, adding that the governor received the best legal advice before taking the decision and posited that the dissolved commission suffered legal deficiencies in their making. He also advised the members of the dissolved commissions to accept the best wishes and commendation of the state governor for their meritorious service to the state. Senate has sworn in Natasha Aboti Oduagan of the People's Democratic Party as the senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. Natasha on Thursday became the first female senator from Kogi State. Senate President Godswill Akpabio directed the clerk of the Senate to administer the oath to her on the floor of the upper legislative chamber on Thursday. This followed her presentation with the certificate of return by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, as the duly elected senator for Kogi Central. This is coming after the Court of Appeal had on Tuesday affirmed Aboti Uduagan as the winner of the Kogi Central Senatorial District election. Some activists have called on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to caution desperate politicians blackmailing Nigeria's security agencies for selfish, sinister motives ahead of the November 11 governorship poll in Kogi State. The activists, who disclosed this during a press conference in Abuja, also called on security chiefs in the country to caution and deal appropriately with politicians who have continued to drag security agencies into the dirty arena of politics through unwarranted and incessant blackmail with which they hope to compromise them. They specifically accused the Social Democratic Party and its candidate, Muritala Yakubu, of deliberately blackmailing the police and the Department of State Services to prevent them from carrying out their constitutional assignments of ensuring the security of lives and property and preventing criminal activities from festering. The leader of the activists and also co-convener, lawyers and activists for good governance, Comrade Mohammed Sani, referred to a recent press release by the SDP in which the party passed a vote of no confidence in the security agencies in the state, while alleging that they were planning to arrest some of their members. According to him, the SDP candidate is the only candidate that has had a running battle with every police commissioner posted to the Kogi State and should be thoroughly investigated. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, has supported the directive from President Bola Tinubu to allocate lands to judges and officials in other arms of the federal government. Wike, who disclosed this, made this during a meeting with Chief Judge of the Federal High Court, Justice John Sosho, pledged to put infrastructure in place before land allocation in the FCT. Earlier, the minister stressed the economic importance of accessible areas for land allocation, expressed his respect for the judiciary and the legislature, emphasizing the equality and the independence of the three branches of government, while Justice Social had requested the minister to consider the judiciary in the allocation of lands. Justice Social also informed the minister about the upcoming December celebration of the Federal High Court's Golden Jubilee. People's Democratic Party has demanded for the review of the Court of Appeals judgment on the Plateau State senatorial poll. It also demanded that the panel of justices who sat on the case be disbanded. The PDP National Publicity Secretary Debo Oluganaba, who made the call while addressing a press conference in Abuja, described the frightening pattern the Plateau Appeal Court panel allegedly gave conflicting judgments, adding that the people of Plateau State are unsettled by allegations in the public domain that the Plateau State Election Appeal Court panel has been hugely compromised and induced by the failed All Progressives Congress in Plateau State to undermine the will of the people by snatching elections clearly won by the PDP and awarding same to the APC, as now evidenced in its inexplicable varying judgments on same election context and circumstances. The PDP scribe also said specifically in the case of Plateau North Senatorial District won by Senator Simon Moantquan of the PDP and the APC candidate coming third, the panel, in its judgment delivered on Sunday, 22nd October 2023, curiously annulled PDP's victory and ordered INEC to conduct a rerun election among all the parties. PDP said, in line with the aspiration and expectation of the people of Plateau State, demands that the president of the Court of Appeal immediately disbands the Plateau State Election Appeal Court panel and a new Plateau State Election Appeal Court panel be constituted to hear the remaining appeals, as the current panel has shown manifest bias to unduly favor the APC candidates, adding that continued retention of the present Plateau State Election Appeal Court panel will be construed by the people of Plateau State as an act of insensitivity and injustice. President Bola Tinubu has presented the symbolic flag of the All Progressives Congress to candidates contesting gubernatorial seats in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo State. The president handed the flags to the candidates, Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, Timi Priscilla of Bayelsa State, and Ahmed Kogi State, respectively, at the presidential villa Abuja on Thursday, where he wished them victory at the off-season elections coming up on November 11. This is coming after the Independent National Electoral Commission had fixed November 11, 2023 to conduct the off-season elections in the three states. The national chairman of the APC, Abdullahi Ganduje, led the three candidates to the presidential villa where the flags were handed down to them. Nigerian civil society organization had demanded the release of the embattled former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, from the Economic and Financial Crime Commission's custody. Convener of the Coalition of Civil Society for Defense of Human Rights, Yusuf Maje, who made this known at a Free Emefiele rally held in Abuja, said the Department of State Security freed Emefiele on October 25th after being arrested on June 9, 2023, and immediately after his release from DSS's custody, EFCC detained him. Reacting to the development, Maje said Emefiele's travails in the hands of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration are a witch hunt, and described the arrest of Emefiele by EFCC as unreasonable and a show of overzealousness, and urged President Tinubu to release Emefiele or charge him to court within 7 days. Federal High Court in Abuja has given former governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Godwin Emefiele, till January 25th to appear in court to explain the circumstances surrounding the $53 million judgment debt rising from the Paris Club refund. Justice Ian Ekwo, in a short ruling, gave Emefiele another opportunity to appear in court in person, or he would issue a warrant for his arrest. And the development followed a plea by Emefiele's counsel, Audu Anuga San, that all efforts to ensure that his appearance in court had been unsuccessful as he was still in custody. This is coming after a senior advocate of Nigeria, Mr. Joe Agi, had initiated a garnishee proceeding against the CBN for the purpose of recovering a judgment debt of $70 million from Linas International Limited and the Minister of Finance, and following the garnished order absolute, the CBN had paid Agi part of the $70 million, leaving a balance of $53 million. Justice Ekwo had repeatedly ordered that Emefiele must appear before the court. Justice Eko had repeatedly ordered that Emefiele must appear before the court over the matter, while Emefiele's lawyer, Anunga, informed the judge that he had on Monday filed an affidavit to show because why an arrest warrant should not be issued against Emefiele but a legal officer in the legal department of the CBN, Jeremiah Utan, in an affidavit in support of Emefiele's case, informed the court that he was unable to appear as he had been in the custody of the Department of State Services since June 10th. The judge then adjourned the matter until January 25th for Emefiele to show cause why an arrest warrant should not be issued against him. In view of the need to commemorate the 2023 International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists, the International Press Center, Lagos, Nigeria, has called for urgent but thorough investigations into the documented cases of crimes against journalists so that perpetrators can be held accountable. The International Day to End Impunity for Crimes Against Journalists is observed yearly on November 2nd to pay tribute to journalists killed in the line of duty and to raise awareness of the dangers of impunity for crimes committed against journalists. The United Nations Agency, UNESCO's theme for this year's commemoration, Violence Against Journalists, the Integrity of Elections, and the Role of Public Leadership, IPC calls on Nigeria to take the lead in guaranteeing the safety of journalists at elections and while covering other assignments so that the country would not continue to rank poorly on global press freedom indicators, adding that the threats to journalism and press freedom are alarming on the grounds of the numerous monitored and documented incidents of attacks against journalists, which was worsened in the past decade and largely remains judicially unresolved. Among the unsolved killings of the journalists in the line of duty in Nigeria are those of Alex Obu of Regent Africa Times, Ikechukwu Onubogo of Anambra Broadcasting Service, Maxwell Nashan of Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, Onifade Emmanuel Pelumi of Boa TV, and Precious Owolabi of Channels TV. In addition, the IPC Center for Safety and Protection of Journalists this year alone has recorded 29 cases of attacks involving 39 journalists across the country, including attacks on at least 12 journalists covering the February 2023 general elections, while the journalists and other media professionals were subjected to harassment and intimidation. And the nature of attacks include imposition of fine, physical assault, harassment, deleting of pictures, unlawful arrest, detention, intimidation, denial of access to polling units to cover electoral process, molestation, threat to life, abduction, damage to vehicle, as well as sporadic gunshot and explosion. The Executive Director, IPC, Mr. Lanre Orogundade, in a statement said, frequent attacks on journalists discourage the media from performing its core functions at elections, especially providing credible information to enable the people to make informed choices. Federal government says it will be closing 2 ramps of the Third Mainland Bridge for repairs with effect from Monday, November 6, 2023. This is coming barely 3 days after the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, initially announced that the bridge will be closed on November 1st for a period of 3 months. A statement signed by the Federal Controller of Works, Lagos, Engineer Mrs. O. I. Kesha, said the repair works will begin with the ramps connecting Oworonshoki to Adekunle and Lagos Island to Adekunle simultaneously. Kesha revealed that the ramps will be closed to traffic by 7 a.m. on Monday, November 6, 2023, for 5 weeks, and advised motorists to cooperate with the traffic management officials by obeying and observing all diversions as directed and encouraged them to use the alternative routes as attached. You're watching the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. We will return after this break. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network. Now to the rest of our stories. Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan has been sworn in as the senator representing the Central Senatorial District in Kogi State. Natasha replaces Senator Abubakar Sadiku Ohere, whose election was nullified recently by the Court of Appeal. Senator Natasha was sworn in during plenary on Thursday in a brief ceremony performed by the Clerk of the National Assembly. Here is a report.
Senator Natasha Akpoti has been sworn in as a senator representing Kogi Central Senatorial District. To be recalled that Senator Natasha Akpoti challenged the victory of Senator Sadiku Ohere at the polls and eventually got a favorable judgment from the court that ordered INEC to recognize her as the winner of the election and replaced Abubakar Ohere in the Senate after the court nullified Ohere's election victory.
The Federal Republic of Nigeria.
That I will strive to preserve.
That I will strive to preserve.
The fundamental objectives.
The fundamental objectives.
And directive principles of state policy.
And directive principles of state policy.
Contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Contained in the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that I will preserve.
And that I will preserve.
Protect.
Protect.
And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that I will abide by the Code of Conduct.
And that I will abide by the Code of Conduct.
Contained in the 5th schedule.
Contained in the 5th schedule.
Of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So help me God.
So help me God. I, Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan,
do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will be faithful.
That I will be faithful.
And bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And bear true allegiance to the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And that I will preserve.
And that I will preserve.
Protect.
Protect.
And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
And defend the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
So help me God.
So help me God.
The Senate also approved and confirmed the nomination of the remaining 3 resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
In the Committee of the Whole considered the request of Mr. President, Commander-in-Chief, for the confirmation of nominees for appointment as resident electoral commissioners for the Independent National Electoral Commission. 7 nominees were taken yesterday. They answered various questions, and thereafter, the Senate approved and further confirmed their nominations. Today, we have had 3 nominees before us. They've answered various questions. The nominees answered questions relating to electoral matters, topical issues, and thereafter the Senate approved the nominations as follows. Dr. Bumi Omesheyindem for Lagos State, Dr. Onubum Onuaha from Rivers State, Mr. Abubakar Fawa Dambo from Zamfara State as resident electoral commissioners Rex for the Independent National Electoral Commission. Is this a true reflection of what transpired in the Committee of the Whole? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The nomination of Dr. Onubum Onuaha from Rivers State is hereby confirmed as resident electoral commissioner REC for the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
The inauguration of Senator Natasha brings the total number of women in the Senate to 4, increasing the opposition party member to 50 against the total number of the APC in the Senate to 59. From the National Assembly, Abuja, Rotimi Adewuyi, ATN News.
Senate has passed the 2.18 trillion Naira 2023 supplementary appropriation bill forwarded for consideration by President Bola Tinubu. As requested by Tinubu in the letter read in the Senate during plenary on Tuesday, the request was given expeditious consideration, while on Thursday the Red Chamber expressly approved the budget after the Chairman Senate Committee of Appropriations Solomon Adeola led the report at the Chamber. This is coming after the Committee on Appropriations on Wednesday interfaced with the ministers heading the agencies captured in the supplementary budget. The ministers include the Minister of Works, David Umahi, the Minister of Housing, Ahmed Dangiwa, and Minister of Agriculture, Food and Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, the Minister of State for Defense, Honorable Bello Matawale, as well as service chiefs. Before the bill's passage, the Senate adopted a harmonized report for the sittings of both chambers on the 2023 supplementary appropriation bill submitted by Senator Adeola, while the bill expeditiously scaled readings in both upper and lower chambers, as lawmakers said it was for the benefit of the country. Adeola noted that his committee received an input from the leadership of relevant subcommittees and heads of the benefiting ministries, departments, and agencies of government in scrutinizing the budget details. And after a clause-by-clause consideration of the appropriation bill, the Senate adopted the report of its committee, returning it to the President without any alteration. House of Representatives has scrapped the budgetary allocation of the presidential yacht, moving the proposed sum to student loan, thereby increasing allocation for student loan to 10 billion as against 5.5 billion naira. The chairman of the House Appropriations Committee, Honorable Abubakar Bichi, made this known on Thursday while addressing newsmen. He said the need became necessary following low budgetary allocations for students. The committee also increased budgetary allocation of Ministry of Defense from 476 billion naira to 546 billion naira following security concerns. Bichi also disclosed that the minimum wage for workers was considered and approved for onward transmission to the executive while promising proper legislative oversight to ensure 100% implementation, and the sum of 100 billion naira was retained for FCT as requested by the Minister of FCT Nyesom Wike, and the House passed the sum of 2.177 trillion naira. Here is the report.
As far as we are concerned, we don't have that percentage anymore. We have increased the student loan. If you can recall, student loan was 5 billion naira in the budget, but now we have increased it from 5 to 10 billion so that our students can be able to access that facility in order for them to go to school and to be affordable for them. So we have approved 100 billion naira for Ministry of Housing, and that's what we actually did. Service whiteboard initially was 615 billion, but currently we reduced it from 615 to 515 billion naira as well. INEC, initially their request was 18 billion naira. Yesterday we had an engagement with the INEC chairman, as you're all aware, and he has convinced us about his submissions. We have maintained their 18 billion naira as well. So far we have approved the sum of 2,176,791,286,033 naira only. So this is what we did today, and we'll continue to do as much as we can to support our Nigeria, to support the government, so that our people can see the importance for this democracy. As far as we are concerned, we don't have that.
House of Representatives has resolved to investigate the expenditure by the Nigerian Population Commission from the 800 billion naira approved by the federal government for the conduct of the 2023 Population and Housing Census. This was sequel to the adoption of a motion moved by a lawmaker representing Agwata Federal Constituency, Anambra State, Mr. Dominic Okafor, while the motion was titled Need to Investigate the Expenditure on the Postponed 2023 Population and Housing Census by the National Population Commission and conduct of the National Population Housing Census. This is coming after the census that was slated for May 3rd to 7th, 2023 was postponed indefinitely by the administration of former President Muhammad Buhari. Leading the debate on the motion, Okafor said, despite the postponement, the National Population Commission admitted to have spent 200 billion naira as part of the 800 billion naira budgeted for the planning mid-execution of the 2023 Population and Housing Census, which was postponed. According to the lawmaker, the money invested in the postponed 2023 budget would have meaningfully changed the lives of many Nigerians and improved the distribution of palliatives across the country. For the purpose of development, Okafor called on President Bola Tinubu to fix a date for the conduct of the exercise, adding that the failure to do so would invalidate data already gathered for the population census and resolve to investigate the money expended on the postponed census. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, Abbas Tajuddin, has referred the motion to the Committee on Population for appropriate advice. Chairman House of Representatives Committee on National Security, Honorable Ahmed Satomi, has emphasized the need to deepen international collaboration, stressing that it is fundamental to addressing insecurity in the country. Satomi made this known at the inaugural meeting of the committee in Abuja. The lawmaker was The lawmaker, who acknowledged the unique challenges faced by the country in the realm of national security and intelligence, observed that the world is evolving at an unprecedented pace with emerging deep technologies, global interconnectedness, and complex geopolitical dynamics, redefining the very nature of security. He stressed the need to adapt and transcend traditional approaches to safeguarding the country, expressing that the understanding of national security must be broadened to encompass multifaceted dimensions that impact on citizens' lives. Here is a report.
It's imperative that we acknowledge the unique challenges of our nation, the realm of national security and intelligence. The world we live is evolving at an unprecedented pace. Emerging technologies and global interconnectedness and complex geopolitical dynamics in defining the very nature of our security in this rapidly changing landscape. We must not only adopt, but also transit the traditional approaches to safeguard our nation. Not only looking at the Vatican feast only, this time around, we must ensure we achieve both vertical and horizontal peace jointly together. While the preservation of our physical security remains paramount, we must broaden our understanding of our national security to encompass the multifaceted dimension that impact our citizens' lives. Here, the concept of security extends beyond borders and military minds. It encompasses economic stability, cyber welfare, environmental resilience, social cohesion, and the protection of our democratic institutions.
The chairman pledged to promote a culture of openness where the Nigerian people can be informed and engaged in matters of national security, and promised to ensure that intelligence agencies operate within the bounds of the law and that citizens' rights are protected. House of Representatives has called on the Inspector General of Police to set up a crack team to conduct a holistic investigation to unmask the cartel behind the dangerous trend of killing of young girls for ritual purposes and bring them to justice. This following a motion which was brought before the House plenary on the matters of urgent public importance by Honorable Awaji Abiante from Rivers State. Leading the debate on the motion on Abiante noted the recent wave and sustained killings of young girls who are mostly undergraduates by their supposed boyfriends for ritual purposes, including the recent murder of 20-years-old Miss Justina Otwene, an undergraduate student of the Department of Biochemistry, University of Port Harcourt, by Damian Okoligwe, who is also an undergraduate student of the same university last week, amongst other killings. The lawmaker expressed worry that these killings have almost become a daily occurrence, with several other reported cases of missing females with their whereabouts still unknown, noting that few of the reported missing victims are often found dead without traces of the perpetrators. He said it is disturbing that these killings take similar patterns of dismembering the bodies of the victims whereby their vital organs are removed. Here is a report.
The need to curb the dangerous trend in the killing of young girls for rituals, because we don't know who will be the next victim. This House notes the recent wave and sustained killings of our young girls, who are mostly undergraduates, by their supposed boyfriends for perceived ritual purposes. The House also notes with dismay the recent murder of a 20-year-old girl, Ms. Justina Otwene, an undergraduate student of the Department of Biochemistry, University of Port Harcourt, by one Damian Okoligwe, who is also an undergraduate student of the same university, just last week. The murder of Augusta Osedion, a final year student of Leeds University, in July 2023 by her boyfriend, Benjamin Best, who goes by the nickname Killer Boy. This happened in Lagos. The murder of Ms. Ogeni Fejiro Ochuko, a final year student of Ambrose Ali University, who was equally killed in August 2023 by her boyfriend, Victor Ochonugo, in Benin, and several other unreported cases.
The House observed a minute silence for victims of the killings, as well as mandated the Committees on Police Affairs and Legislative Compliance to ensure compliance. Up next is business news. Federal government says it has met the operators of domestic refineries in the bid to address concerns about the unavailability of crude oil for indigenous refiners, stressing that it is going to be a matter of national shame if government cannot meet the domestic crude obligations to step up refining capacity of 650,000 barrels per day to Dangote Refinery. Chief Executive of Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Benga Komolafe, an agency of the federal government, disclosed this in Abuja during the meeting with operators of domestic refineries. Komolafe also disclosed that the NUPRC had written to crude oil producers requesting the firms to provide details on the volumes of committed and uncommitted crude oil in their domains, while the domestic refining of crude will impact positively on the pump prices of refined petroleum products. Some ministers and chairman of Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, have appeared before the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriation to defend the 2.177 trillion naira supplementary budget. Given his address during the budget defense, Chairman House Committee on Appropriation, Honorable Abubakar Bichi, said the supplementary appropriation bill sent to the National Assembly earlier this week was specifically structured to improve the country's security, food, and critical road infrastructure sectors, and to bridge the housing deficit in the country, including slum upgrades and urban renewal. Bichi, who disclosed that the proposal will support the provisional wage to workers and cash transfers to vulnerable Nigerians, as well as cater for the upcoming off-cycle elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo State, gave a summary of the proposed supplementary budget. Here is a report.
As far as we are concerned, we don't have that anymore. We have increased the student loan. If you can recall, student loan was 5 billion naira in the budget, but now we have increased it from 5 to 10 billion so that our students can be able to access that facility for them to go to school and to be affordable for them. So we have approved 100 billion naira for Ministry of Housing, and that's what we actually did. Service whiteboard initially was 615 billion, but currently we reduced it from 615 to 515 billion naira as well. INEC, initially their request was 18 billion naira. Yesterday we had an engagement with the INEC chairman, as you all aware, and he has convinced us about his submissions. We have maintained their 18 billion naira as well. So far we have approved the sum of 2,176,791,286,033 naira only. So this is what we did today, and we'll continue to do as much as we can to support our Nigeria, to support the government, so that our people can see the importance for this democracy.
Making his presentation before the committee, the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, Professor Mahmood Yakubu, who appeared to defend the 18 billion naira allocated to the commission from the supplementary budget, said it would be used for personal emoluments and the conduct of off-cycle governorship elections in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states. He said 13.8 billion naira is for personal emoluments, 1.4 billion naira to augment the conduct of elections in Kogi, Bayelsa, and Imo, 1.6 billion naira for the conduct of 11 by-elections for the National and State Assemblies, while on his part, the Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, while defending the 300 billion naira for the Ministry of Works, said 18.6 trillion naira is required to address the road sector in the next 4 years. Umahi also appealed for the provision of contingency funds for the ministry to deal with emergency situations as it pertains to the roads. Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, who got 100 billion naira, told the committee that 3.4 billion naira has been earmarked for security equipment, while the money would be used for the completion of the Abuja rail project, among other infrastructure. Here is a report.
I want to start by making an important clarification that the 18 billion in the supplementary appropriation is not all for the conduct of elections. Actually, the substantial part of it is about personnel costs. You recall that in April this year, there was a 40% increase in peculiar allowance to public servants across the country.
So on the whole, to address our road sector for the next 4 years, we'll be needing about 18.6 trillion. And so the National Assembly must have to, weigh a thinking cap on how we can address seriously our road sector. Finally, let me also appeal to the National Assembly. For the executive to respect your motion on certain intervention, we must have a contingency fund. In the issue of asphalt and concrete, I want to say something. Concrete pavement we are proposing for most of our roads are much cheaper. They are much cheaper by this analysis. They are longer in terms of durability, and the variation on concrete pavement is of arithmetical progression, while the pavement on our asphalt is of geometric progression.
All of us are aware of the situation of FCT. So many people have complained about basic infrastructure. So many people have complained about insecurity. So many people have complained about those elements of FCT. What is allocated to FCT is 100 billion. And out of that 100 billion, we are requesting for 3.4 billion for security, equipment, buying of vehicles. All respected agencies have complained of lack of vehicles, lack of logistics. Infrastructure needed, which is ongoing before I came, or was abandoned before I came. But these infrastructures are needed to be completed now that we have the dry season coming.
Minister of Agriculture and Food Security Abubakar Kyari, who got 200 billion naira from the supplementary budget, said 104.8 billion naira is for capital projects, while 95.2 billion is for expenditure. Given a breakdown, he said the ministry had a challenge of anthrax, a disease that has threatened some states, saying if care is not taken, it can wipe out livestock and it can be transferred to humans. He also informed the committee of transboundary migratory pests like locusts, disclosing that 9.1 billion naira has been budgeted for that purpose. Here is a report.
And seedlings and other agri inputs for each zone of the Federation. We have today wet season, dry season. People are taking very huge advantage of the dry season farming, and we have capitalized on that as a ministry to really put our efforts into the dry season farming, especially on the wheat, maize, cassava, and rice. So we have provided seeds and seedlings and other agricultural inputs for each zone of the Federation to the tune of 11.7 billion naira per zone. We have also the National Agricultural Growth Scheme, NAGS, Agro Pocket, which is partly sponsored by the African Development Bank, where, like I said earlier, we have wheat, maize, rice, and cassava for dry season. But we need to complement their efforts, because as we stand now, Mr. Chairman, we know the inputs are very costly. We have to provide seeds free of charge to all farmers. We want to at least achieve 200,000 to 250,000 hectares.
Minister of Housing and Urban Development Ahmed Dangiwa, who got 100 billion naira, said the plan is to have estates in the 36 states and create avenues for affordable housing across the country, adding that the ministry aims to build 34,500 housing units across the country. The security chiefs, as well as the Minister of State for Defense, Bello Amatawale, also appeared before to defend the budgets was behind closed doors for security reasons. British International Investment, the UK's development finance institution, has announced a $26.5 million commitment to AFEX to address food security in Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda. Chief Executive Officer of Bill Nick O'Donoghue, who disclosed this in Lagos, said that the investment would support structural improvement in Africa's agricultural industry, which would significantly benefit smallholder farmers and lead to improvement in security. According to O'Donoghue, AFEX currently has over 200 warehouses in Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda, and serves over 450,000 farmers, adding that the B2 investment will be used to build 20 warehouses in strategic locations in Nigeria, Kenya, and Uganda. Its capital will also scale warehouse technology and next-generation software that capture post-harvest pricing and maintain that smart storage solutions had the potential to preserve the lifespan of harvest crops and increase the volume of food available. Donoghue claimed that additional warehouses would provide 230,000 metric tons of storage capacity, enabling up to 200,000 more farmers to access low-cost storage and maximize sales from crop harvest, adding that the move would help to increase farmer incomes by more than 200%, while the capital would also be used to develop a soybean processing plant in Ibadan and a drying facility in Uganda. You're still watching the news on Atlantic Television Network. Up next is International Tidbits. International Conference of African Descent in Diaspora and launching of Diaspora Union in Nigeria, held in Abuja, focuses on fostering global partnership for the massive return of the African descent in diaspora for naturalization and economic development of the continent. The representative of the Office of Deputy Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, Chief Daniel Akwai, said the House recognizes the mission of AfriDu in welfare and advancement of African descent across the world. Speaking on African descendants who worked for African survival, peace and freedom, Dr. Baril Biekman, while launching the African Diaspora Union, AfriDu, President Professor Chidiebere Analechi speaks on the act of international law which AfriDu stands for. Here is a report.
The International Conference of African Descent in Diaspora, AfriDu, and launching of Diaspora Union in Nigeria, held in Abuja, focuses on fostering global partnership for the massive return of the African descent in diaspora for naturalization and economic development of the continent. The representative of the Office of Deputy Speaker, Federal House of Representatives, Chief Daniel Akwai, said the House recognizes the mission of AfriDu in welfare and advancement of African descent across the world.
The House of Representatives, which is represented, recognizes the significance of AfriDu in promoting the welfare and advancement of African descent across the world. Its mission to serve as a collective voice for the diaspora is truly commendable. The Deputy Speaker believes that this will play a pivotal role in building strong global partnership that brings the gap between the diaspora, economic and infrastructural development in Nigeria. The legislative template set by the establishment of the Nigerian Diaspora Commission through the 1996 Diaspora Commission establishment Bill 2016 serves as a standing example of what can be achieved through cooperation between government and the diaspora.
Speaking on African descendants who worked for African survival, peace and freedom, Dr. Barry Biekman said,
when we see ourselves in one another, we will have greater respect, love and value for the whole of Africa. With this love, respect and value, we find the strength to overcome the challenges. My leader, Dr. Kuku, the only thing that we would require of the descendants of those who enslaved and endured is tell and publish the truth. Tell and publish the the truth about the incorrections of biological and religious lies.
While launching the African Diaspora Union, AFRIDU President Professor Chidebere Analeche speaks on the acts of international law which AFRIDU stand on.
And based on this constituting act of the African Union and the 2012 Global Declaration, we take our power from there. That the policy that have been declared, even recently, the Article 3Q, we took our strength from there to back us legally, internationally, and the 2015 Declaration of the United Nations. We took our strength legally to back us. And upon that, the African Diaspora Union created what we call the AFRIDU tribal stand. And the AFRIDU tribal stand, I will read. African Diaspora Union AFRIDU put it into consideration the May 25th, 2012 declaration of the Global African Diaspora Summit held in St. Johannesburg, South Africa, and recognizing the decision and the summit to encourage the diaspora to organize themselves in regional networks and establish appropriate mechanisms that will enable their increasing participation in the affairs of the African Union as observers and eventually in the future as a citizen of the continent that will contribute substantially to the implementation of policies and programs, and recognizing the summit agreement to continue to integrate the African diaspora agenda in its engagement with international partners. African Diaspora Union AFRIDU, recognizing the diverse cultures and language of the African people all over the world, the diverse historical facts of the African and Black people all over the world, believe in the tribal stand of integration of the diaspora. One, those African diasporas who wish to return to their motherland Africa and become part of Africa and participate in every level as Africans with full rights of African citizenship. Two, those African diasporas who believe in investing in Africa and become part of the African businesses and economy. Three, those who wish to identify themselves with the African culture and inheritance through their genealogy with intention of participation in all African affairs, but not having the intention of returning back to Africa, their motherland. African Diaspora Union, therefore, incorporates with larger units the diverse units of plans and dreams of different African peoples and form alliance with different countries and regions of Africa or Black peoples to actualize their dream of return to Africa or invest in Africa, identify in Africa through cultural integration, through an all-inclusive vision. To this day, the 2nd of November 2023, the African Diaspora Union of Nigeria, AFRIDU, is declared lost.
Joseph Moses, ATN News, Abuja.
Mechanisms that will enable their increasing participation in the affairs of the African Union as observers and eventually in the future
Uganda says it has captured the head of a militia squad blamed for the murder of two honeymooning foreign tourists and their local guide in a national park last month. He was the only survivor of a nighttime military operation against a unit of the feared Allied Democratic Forces that killed 6 other fighters. A Briton and a South African were murdered along with their guide in an attack on October 17th while on safari in Queen Elizabeth National Park. Uganda blamed the Allied Democratic Forces on armed militia based in the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo that is affiliated with the Islamic State group. And the ISIS group later claimed responsibility for the attack, saying it had killed 3 Christian tourists. Uganda's deputy military spokesman Dio Akiki said the unit commander, identified only as Njovu, had been injured in the back during a gun battle, and while Major General Dick Olum, who oversees Uganda's military operations against the ADF in the DRC, said another 6 members of the squad were shot dead in Tuesday's operation. The victims of the October attack have been named as British national David Barlow, his South African wife Celia, and the guide Eric Ayai. Pope Francis has called on Israel and the Palestinians to find a solution at the negotiating table. The 86-year-old Catholic pontiff strongly advocated a 2-state solution, 1 state for Israel and 1 for the Palestinians. He said every war is a defeat and nothing is solved by war, and while everything is gained with peace with dialogue. Francis was referring to the Oslo peace process between Israel and the Palestinian Liberation Organization, which began in 1993. Australian woman has been charged with murder over the suspected mushroom poisoning deaths of 3 people. Erin Patterson was arrested on Thursday morning, and police have spent the day searching her home east of Melbourne. This is coming after Patterson had served the family lunch, and it included her former in-laws who fell ill while a 4th person survived. Toxicology reports suggest the victims consumed death carp mushrooms, but Patterson maintains she is innocent, adding that she did not intentionally poison her guests at the lunch in the Victorian town of Leongatha on 29th July. Her former husband, Simon Patterson, had also been invited to the family lunch, but was unable to make it at the last minute. The Erin Patterson was named as a suspect by police after she and her 2 children appeared unharmed after the lunch, and the police in the state of Victoria took Ms. Patterson into custody on Thursday, while Homicide Squad Inspector Dean Thomas stressed the complexity of the case in a press conference, describing it as a tragedy that may reverberate for years to come. And now, entertainment news. Nollywood actress Iyabo Ojo has made fresh allegations against embattled singer Aziz Fashola, aka Naira Marley. According to her, the Malian music boss sprinkled illicit substances in her children's food and drink when they visited his house, adding that she had eyewitnesses. Ojo, who is one of the celebrities demanding justice for Mohbad, who died after he was allegedly bullied by Naira Marley and his associate Sam Larry, said she decided not to support the Malian music boss because of what he did to her children. And here now is ATN Sports News. Kwara United head coach Kabiru Dogo has commended his players after they rallied to beat Sporting Lagos. The Harmony boys considered in the first minute with Jonathan Aluku firing the visitors in front. Isaiah Eje leveled from the spot for the hosts in first half stoppage time, while Ifeanyi Odenega scored a decisive goal late in the game. Kwara United moved up to 12th position on the table following the win. Inter Miami captain Lionel Messi has listed his goals in the Champions League and the World Cup finals to be among his favorites in his glittering career so far. Messi recently picked up his 8th Ballon d'Or for his World Cup triumph with Argentina last December. The Argentina captain beat the likes of Manchester City's Erling Haaland and Paris Saint-Germain's Kylian Mbappe to win the award. This is coming during conversation with France Football. Messi was asked to reveal his favorite goal from his 800-plus career goals, and the veteran forward said that special goals are the important thing to be scored in the Champions League final and the final of the World Cup. And that's the Global News for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Rivers elders warn proponents of propaganda against Wike. Tinubu gives APC flags to Silva Ododo Uzodinma. Senate approves Tinubu's 2.18 trillion naira supplementary budget. FG plans to improve supply of crude to Dangote refinery. Pope Francis calls for dialogue on Israel-Hamas war. Actress Iyabo Ojo alleges Naira Marley of food poisoning. Kwara United's Dogo commends players against Sporting Lagos. I am Basil Chadamba. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on our social media platforms, Twitter at Atlantic TV Net, Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. Remember that peace and unity are pathways to progress. Good night.